Okay, this is the Quikrete Resurfacer for my workshop here. I'm going to take and prep per the instructions. What I used is the number 990 Bare Home Depot degreaser and cleaner. It had a higher concentration of potassium in it to remove stains, and it was better than the 991 I thought, but there's also a 991, so I used that, diluted it to 50% water, 50% degreaser, sprayed it on with a garden sprayer. You can use a watering can too, and then let the whole thing, scrubbed it in real good, and then washed it all down as much as I could, and in preparation for about a week of drying. So the first step though was to patch a hole right here. There was a large divot here from our previous, and there's also a large over there. So mix it up per the instructions, just to be a little bit basically like concrete, you know. It's not soupy, it's a workable mixture. Some of the tips that I've done this project before on a large patio on a hot day, and it didn't turn out as well, so I'm hoping for better results now. One of the things that bothered me was, besides the heat, obviously don't use this above 90 degrees, but the control joints. So as most concrete, this is a fairly large joint, and then this is a normal probably size joint. This is from a pad that I did recently with the edging tool, and it's only probably 1/8 of an inch. So what I did was find, instead of, they recommend weather stripping or duct tape. There is no weather stripping really this small to go in here. So an option that I did was I laid in, this is 1/8 inch, very small window screen right there. It's a spline, 25-foot rolls. There's also vinyl coated clothesline that's also the same thickness, or some nylon string, some thick nylon string you get at Home Depot or anywhere else, and put it in the joint, and then just press it in with a spatula. The other option was I picked up was this. This is the only other option in the weather stripping aisle for this small thickness, and it's a weather stripping replaceable. It's a stuff that's more like clay, and it peels off. It doesn't peel off. You have to be slow, and then see it breaks. So I got this. It was just $4 for, you know, hundreds of feet, I think, in terms of lineal feet here you could tear off, and I might go with this and give this a try too in some inconspicuous areas to see how it takes. And because I like this because it's not going to absorb water, and then it also creates also sticks to the concrete if it's dry and not full of dust. So it will, you know, create a nice area for the control joint to stay controlled, instead of it being what happened last time, which was the weather stripping I used previously was too big for the joint. It's too tall. That's a tip. Make sure it fits completely into the joint, so you can see. You don't want it popping out and be higher, because when you come by with your squeegee, it's going to hit that. What happened to me last time, I used that cellulose sort of foam, I should say foam, open cell foam weather stripping, and what happened was when it a little bit higher than the surface, when the squeegee came across, it took it out of the joint, and then you got this nice freshly resurfaced concrete full of this weather stripping, and then you got to try to shove it back in the joint. It's terrible. So the tip is, make sure it's embedded into the joint, so when you come over it, it's not gonna come out at all. So this is day one. We'll come back day two after the application is done. There's also another tip that I learned from doing this the first time on another project, which is this. This is a normal floor squeegee. I did not have good luck with this. See how thick it is, and also what happens is it likes to hop. You hear that? I don't know if it's vibrating in my hand. I can push it, but then it moves a lot of material. I'm going to get a driveway squeegee, which is about 15 bucks at Home Depot, and it's meant for this application, spreading out actually thin asphalt. It's a thinner rubber, and also the head is directly perpendicular to the shaft instead of this, which is like a 45-degree offset. So this is good for moving water out of your basement or whatever else, but not really good for this application because again, it wants to hop, as well as it just is not easy to control. And a lot of times in these corners, see in a corner, you need good control. So some of this work is going to be done with a hand trowel, a regular pointed hand trowel, and then I have a square 16-inch trowel as well, that to get right into corners and whatnot, to make sure it's covered properly. But for the most part, I'm hoping that this will go just fine. So this is a 40-pound. They all come in 40-pound. I got 4 of these for a 12 by 11 shed, and so it's just going to be 1/8 inch thick or maybe a little less. So let you know when all done. Okay, this is right after the second coat has been applied. I've pulled the control joint fillers. So second coat supposed to be a lot thinner. 6+ pints of water per 40-pound bag. Those boxes over there, and yeah, it was a little cooler, so it held up a little better. I used this sprayer just to wet beforehand, and also as I worked it in, sometimes it got a little dry. It could be just a mix, so I would get just a quick spray on there. Lessons learned were that weather stripping, that's like putty, that's really cheap for a lot of it. It just tears when you try to pull it out, and also tears when you try to take it off the wheel, just kind of over there on that purple box. So I wouldn't use this. I would use the window screen method. That's that black spline there, and then I'll come back in after about 4 hours and vacuum up these granules from pulling up the control joints. But the best method that worked was using the squeegee, the handheld squeegee, to get into the corners, because I'm doing this project before I do a driveway to see how well it takes. It's a lot more touchy because you got all these corners to worry about. You know, in the driveway won't have to, but we have obviously more space. So I guess you're supposed to play this in 144 square feet in no more than 20 minutes. It took me 25 minutes just to get to the midpoint, and another 20 minutes to get here. So, and that's a second coat. So working by yourself, it takes a lot longer, I guess, unless you're experienced in it and you don't have a lot of corners, a lot of touch-up, a lot of edges to deal with. But handheld squeegee from the Home Depot or wherever, it's over here. This guy, he's $2, and he worked out a lot better than this squeegee. This is the one from Home Depot as well for $15. It's angled less than the previous squeegees, but still, it created if you're looking for a smooth finish, that doesn't work that well. It creates a almost like a runny liquid finish instead of a smooth finish. So you can't see it here, but in some cases it looks almost like after you trowel wet concrete at the top, and if you don't smooth it off, it looks like that. So you have to go back with your hand and touch it up. So those are the words of advice, I guess. It takes longer than you think, unless you've done this before. Don't use putty for control joints. Get a nice cheap handheld squeegee. Keep your spray bottle nearby, or hose, and I guess just if the consistency is not what you think it is, it's probably off. So stop and and either add more water or add more powder. My case, it seemed like it dried out in granular form on the same coat right when I ended, versus say when I was out here in the field. It was a lot easier, a lot more pourable. So and that has to do probably because I took so long. It took me 45 minutes probably to lay this down. So it was already starting to set up, and I guess that's my words of advice for the Quikrete of the sealant natural look. You can tell there's really no difference between 1 and 2 coats. Over here it looks darker than over here. One thing is the giant shadow, so if you look more over here, it's more representative of here. So don't let the shadow fool you. It looks cool, darker, but there is that sort of water line where the other coat sort of bled over and came into it. Even though you trowel it, it still had that look. So, but the natural sealer didn't change the look as far as I can tell, and the before and after videos will really show it.